I'm back, guys. I'm back. It's been a couple of days that I needed to take off. I wasn't necessarily in the best of spaces with regards to. I wasn't feeling really well, so I took some time off because I know that there's a hectic schedule coming up. Obviously, CSA T20 Challenge started today. The World Cup, obviously, the World Cup qualifiers, basically the group stages started as well. The Proteas will be playing very, very soon. So there's a lot of cricket to get into, a lot to discuss. I'm glad that I'm back. The show's not only going to be about cricket today, we're probably going to be venturing into a lot of things a little bit later on. But I think basically what we need to do here is to first start and chat about what's been going on in cricket recently within South African cricket specifically, because there's a lot of things on display. So I think we need to just take it slow, take it bit by bit, take it tournament by tournament, and let's get cover it as best as possible. Let's have these conversations. I think there's a lot of players that are going to put their hands up this season for that honors, and obviously with the SA20 tournament happening as well, they're going to want to impress, of course, and show that for the next one, the ones that didn't get signed, for the next one, they obviously want to get signed. So there's a lot of things to discuss, and also where cricket is going in South Africa, because all of this T20 cricket being playing at the moment seems like it's currently the focus. But before we get going, before we get started, welcome back, everybody. I mean, I have to say welcome back to myself, basically, because I haven't been here in a very long, in a couple of days. But it's good to see all of you guys, and good to see that you're back here again with us. Before we get going, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click that notification bell as per usual for all future videos. Very important that you do so, guys, so that we can continue this growth that we're on at the moment. We are currently doing quite well on all platforms, so we are growing. So keep it going, guys. We need to continuously grow. I don't want to see those numbers dip. If you're new to this channel as well, please subscribe if you haven't to the magazine as well. It's 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. So go ahead and download the latest issue. We are working on the World Cup edition. It's coming on Friday. We're working this. This is our last week going into this. We want to try to get the best possible mag out for you guys. It will either go out on Thursday or Friday. We are aiming for those 2 days. It's a World Cup edition that will cover both months ultimately, because we wanted to give you something that is very World Cup centric, focusing on the World Cup as well next year because to the women's game too. If you're on your Patreon account yet, please get involved if you want to help us grow and promote South African cricket too. It's very important that you get involved with a Patreon account for that. So please get involved with that. You can click on the link on the screen or in the description, and that's how you can support us as well. But before, let's get straight into today's video. Looking forward to discussing all the topics with you guys, and I'll see you on the other side. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys also have to say in the live chat. Very important that you guys communicate in the live chat as well. Let's get into it. A very good evening. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid. This is my co-host tonight, Ravi. And today we're going to be chatting about everything in South African cricket that we've missed recently, particularly the T20 challenge that is happening currently. We saw the second game is currently happening as we speak. The first game is obviously completed. And we also need to talk about the World Cup. Are warm-ups important? How important are these warm-up games for South Africa? Because there's something that I didn't like in this first warm-up game, if you're going to take it seriously. So I think let's get into that. First and foremost, welcome to the show, Ravi. How are you doing, bro? Haven't seen you in a long time. Haven't spoken to you in a long time. Just me, you, one and one.
Thank you very much for having me again, Khalid. It's been quite a busy month for me, career-wise, but and on a family basis as well. But otherwise, all is well, all is good in the hood, and I'm looking forward to the impending T20 Cricket World Cup. I think it's going to be an exciting fixture for a number of reasons, which I hope to get into it with you this evening. Khalid.
Hmm.
You still there?
I'm here with you. Yeah, I'm here with you.
It's like you look shell shocked
Continue.
for a
Why you
second.
stopping?
No, yeah, look, so I think, yeah, domestically, obviously, there's quite a bit of cricket happening now. We've got the CSA T20 Challenge as well underway in Potchefstroom. It's a very good segue for us to identify much younger talent. I think while I have to say that the senior team seems to be in a very good vein of form, barring the very last result in India, uh, we have to look at succession at some point. We have to look at uh, placeholders for the next generation to come in. So I think the CSA T20 tournament should not be misconstrued as a basic placeholder. I think there's method to the madness. There's merit in watching us as a fan, as a selector, as a coach. There's plenty to gain from this particular CSA T20 challenge. Uh, I think the biggest prize of them all is to look at succession. We may be looking at stars that will fulfill some spots in the next 3 to 5 years, possibly in less time for all we know. Cricket's a funny game, as we all know.
Yeah. So I think the best way to start this is probably with a warm up game, because then we can also look at some of maybe the spots that are maybe missing within the World Cup squad, of course, and then look at the T20 challenge to see if there has been any positives from the first couple of games that we've seen. So I'm going to share it with you right now what happened in the warm up game, of course. You guys, we obviously didn't get a opportunity to watch this, which was unfortunate. I already hoped that these warm up games would be on TV. I know obviously the group games are on TV, but I was hoping that the warm up games would be on TV too. But anyway, South Africa won the toss, and they sent New Zealand into bat. I think that was the case. Let me just double check everything if I'm correct. Yeah, and South Africa elected to field first, and that was the first decision that I think, for me personally, was a little bit of a letdown, because I was hoping that South Africa would use this warm up game to try and really test themselves. And the problem over here that we have currently, I think, is that our top order batters specifically need to remain in form. If our top order batters can't find form, our power plays are going to be a disaster again, and we're going to start off T20 games on the back foot every single game, which I don't want to happen in general. But when I'm looking at this particular game, of course, they sent New Zealand into bat, and they were completely torn apart, of course. But look how many bowlers South Africa bowled. We had Wayne Parnell, Marco Jansen, Lungi Ngidi, Anik Nokia, Tabrei Shamsi, Keshav Maharaj, Aiden Markham, Kagiso Rabada. Maharaj was obviously the top wicket taker with 3 for 17. And Tabrei Shamsi bowled well for his 3 overs, also only conceding over here 6 runs for 2 wickets. So a phenomenal performance from him too. And Wayne Parnell also coming in there with 2 wickets for 8 runs. So very economical from our bowlers. But you can't really necessarily also read into it completely, because we weren't actually able to watch the match. So I don't know what the
Mhm.
approach was necessarily. We can probably try and guess from by looking at the scorecard and looking at the bottom. It just seems like
Mhm.
South Africa dominated with regards to the ball. Got the wickets quickly. 1 for 6 they were down. 2 for 11. Then 3 for 53 after 7.2 overs. Then 4 for 61 um, after 9.5 overs. So South Africa just continuously took wickets and kept the pressure on. It seems like it. From what I'm looking at, the fall of the
Mhm.
wickets, it can tell you a little bit of a story, not the entire story. And then it came to the batting. I was happy to see that Riza Hendricks got an opportunity to open. And Riley Rousseau, someone that we've been talking about as someone as a possible opening partner for Quentin de Kock, or if Quentin de Kock is not available, then giving Riley Rousseau an opportunity at the top of the order was something that a lot of us spoke about. If Quentin de Kock was out of form, for example, that keeping the
Mhm.
left arm combination, he showed that he can bat from the top. Um, Obviously, scoring a half century is good to see him staying in form. And that's a good thing from a South African point of view. But I mean, I'm only taking this with a pinch of salt, of course. I'm not going to look at this and just run away with it and say we're going to go and win the World Cup.
Mhm.
My What I was upset about here, Ravi, is that um, I don't know what the case was with regards to Temba Bavuma. because I mean, personally, I would have liked Temba to bat as much as possible. I mean, he hasn't really batted much going into the into the into the World Cup.
Mhm.
He hasn't really had an opportunity to get bat on ball. I mean, he's had so many tucks, etc. So
Mhm.
I don't know why they didn't um, give him an opportunity to bat. I don't know if it's still issues or he's still sick or whatever the case may be. Um, but that was a little bit of a problem for me. So we can't really read too much into it. But what did you take from this particular warm up game? I mean, obviously, it will give South Africa confidence.
Mhm. No, look, I think in fairness, I think they are aware that Timber is going through a bit of a challenging time at the moment. There's clearly confidence issues. There's possibly an injury that might have been hindering him for some time as well. It's quite speculative at this stage. What I can say based on the scorecard and what I appreciated the selectors doing this time around is giving Ariza Hendricks a shot in the T20 format. We've seen him his prowess, his positive performances in the ODI setup quite recently against India. And I think this really was an exercise to see what he can do in the T20 setup. We know he's highly capable without question. Uh, I think it was definitely we should take this with a pinch of salt. I think if there's one takeaway we can take from this particular match is the run rate in which we managed to get that score in. So I think that was a good advertisement for us as the fans to see that some progress has been made. At the same token, to your point, we need to take this with a pinch of salt because New Zealand is by far one of the most resilient teams that are playing this form of the game. They should never be underestimated. They are the proverbial, the eternal semi-finalist. I think there's the number of World Cup tournaments that I could. There's a handful of World Cup tournaments I could think of that they didn't make it
Mm.
to the final four. So uh, I wouldn't underestimate them. I wouldn't dismiss them quite as yet. This is a warm up. I look at this kind of like the Charity Shield. In a manner of speaking, it's about getting some game time for your guys that can play well and just to work out the sort of the rust off the armor, as it were, just to make sure that they're fit and ready to start the mainstream tournament.
Do you know what makes it even more special is I like that the first wicket only fell after 66 runs already was on the board. I think
That is very positive.
yeah, that's very positive from South Africa because normally we're finding
Mhm,
ourselves down early with only one
mhm,
wicket on the board, with only a couple of runs on the board, two
mhm,
wickets, one wicket down. So at least I mean, it's good to see that Riza had some resilience over there. I mean, going
mhm.
into this World Cup, if Timber doesn't play the next warm up game, I don't think it's fair to play him. I mean, with Riza Hendricks, the form that he's in, the form that everybody else is in. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody else is in form from 1 to 6 September. So to drop an informed player for an out of form player in a World Cup game that is so important, I don't know. It could backfire. If they
Mhm.
do that, they're obviously emphasizing the importance
Yeah.
of his captaincy in this team. And if that is the case and that happens. But I hope that they make the right decisions going into this tournament. The selection issue, selections
It's yeah.
needs to be right going into this tournament.
Absolutely, 100%. But I think this is part and parcel of a high performance environment, right? You and I both watched the Premier League. Without going into another rabbit hole about the Premier League, because we
Mm,
could definitely go on for hours about that. It is much the same a high performance environment, right? So you constantly see changes in leadership all the time in order to ensure that the fine margins are addressed, that there is a much more of a competitive chance for a team to make it past a certain targets. And I
mm,
wouldn't be surprised. And if South Africa does make a very bold decision, whether it's the selectors or whether it's coaching staff or whomever makes the decisions around the leadership appointments, they may make a brave call and say, you know what, it's very evident that Bavuma is not on form right now. There's no ways we could fit him in anywhere in the top six, unfortunately. And they may need to look at a different avenue in terms of leadership. They may need to look at a different opening partnership, like we saw at the warm up setup or the warm up game just now. So I think it's about looking at how is it that the entire team can remain competitive, and we know that the power play is the most crucial part of a T20 game. Lots of
Yes.
people will argue and say it's a number of maidens your best bowlers can bowl towards the tail end and so on. But if you don't make bank within the first 6 overs of the game as an opening pair, your side is doomed. You know, if your run rate isn't above a certain amount, you're in trouble already. So,
Mm.
and we found that we've always fallen short where within the first six
Yep.
overs of the match. So,
Yeah.
I think they've looked at this clearly with a very open mind, even taking a gamble by dropping somebody like Quinton de Kock as well, who we've seen be quite accustomed to the role. I think he's served as an opener for South Africa in the white ball format for almost, what is it, 9 years now? Since 2013, 2014 season, Quinton de Kock has been doing it. So they're clearly looking at every single option available to them in the event
Mm.
one of them goes down or one of them gets injured. So I think
Yeah.
they're making full utilization of the warm up format by exploring every single option that's available to them.
Yeah, well, you 100% spot on with regards to the power play. I agree with you 100%. That is currently South Africa's problem. We're putting too much pressure on our middle order to save us in games, and it needs to stop happening because I think the pressure in general, South Africa, pressure has always been on South Africa. Every World Cup we play, there's pressure on us before we even bowl a ball. So
Mhm.
it's insane that is the case, but it is reality, and we need to deal with it the best way. And the best way for me is to take off all the initial pressure. That's your best way of winning. That's your best chance of winning. But taking off, making sure that you can control the things that you can control, and you can control the way you approach a power play. Now, the coaches also need to make sure that they pick the right combinations, because I think that South Africans will win this tournament by the right combinations, the right blend of players in this lineup that is specifically good for the opposition and for the conditions that it's being played in. I hope that they do take that into consideration when they select players. I'm sure that if they do that, they will notice automatically that certain players will continuously be picked consistently if they do things the right way. I don't want him to pick on sentiment. I want him to pick on what's the best for that particular game, on that
Mhm.
particular day, in those particular conditions against that particular opponent. That's what I would like to see from our coaching staff and our captain, whoever's going to be the captain on the day when they make those decisions. So I'm hoping that those decisions are made, the brave decisions are made, and that unselfish decisions are made too. That's very important. It's a team first before anybody else, and that's what I think going forward.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so we're looking at that. I mean, we can look around. We can maybe try and guess as well. Maybe some of the teams that we might get to play. We saw some group stage games happening, like Zimbabwe beating Ireland for 31 runs. We saw Scotland beat West Indies quite handsomely, actually by 42 runs. So that's also a massive one over there. That's important, perhaps to South Africa as well. But Namibia and the Netherlands, I think that's important for obviously for South Africa, who finishes on top of the group, of course, because obviously Namibia beating um, who did they beat on yesterday? Can't remember.
Netherlands.
No, no, no. They're playing Netherlands. They're playing Netherlands tomorrow. They played Sri Lanka in the opening game. They beat Sri
Oh, they beat
Lanka.
Sri Lanka. That's right.
Yeah, they
Oh,
beat Sri
that's a huge
Lanka.
win.
So that's a huge win, and it's also going might affect South Africa who they're going to face because I think South Africa play the second player in the group, the second team. So if
Mhm.
Namibia had to come, if Namibia in stops, we don't face Namibia. If Sri Lanka obviously comes second, then we have to face probably Sri Lanka. So it depends what's going to happen in that group. So it's interesting to see. I mean, we will do our magazine comes out, I think, after these group stages happen. So we will be doing. We'll know by then who our first game of the tournament, proper game, first game would be in this particular tournament. There's a question from Lorenzo in the panel over here. I've just seen it now. He says, I see a lot of people giving their stance from Temba Pavuma point of view, but never from Riza point of view. How must a guy feel knowing he's a form batter? Temba is not the only one with emotions. And I've said this continuously about Riza too. I said it's not fair what's been happening to Riza Hendricks either. What he's been going through, the
Hmm.
when and this is not just be happening in this World Cup. This happened in 2019 World Cup too, when he was took out of the team on the last seconds of them announcing the actual lineup. So he missed out also on the T20. You could say to a degree he would have missed out on the T20 World Cup too if it wasn't for Quinny's circus that he had going there in the beginning. Um, so it's very unfair what's happening to Riza at the moment, and I do really feel bad for him, and I do feel sorry for him,
Yeah,
and he does 100% deserve that position at the top of the order at the moment, because
definitely.
he is the player that is currently the most informed, and this is across formats and domestically. He came
Hmm.
into this World Cup as prepared as you can get. I don't think anybody is more prepared for this World Cup with regards to consistent runs than Riza Hendricks in the world currently, because done it domestically, scoring off centuries and a century in white ball cricket. Doesn't matter if it's ODI or T20 cricket. He's done it for South African T20 and ODI cricket consistently. He's also created an amazing record of getting 3 half centuries in a row in T20 cricket, as well, and almost 4 actually, because he skipped one with 42, and then he got another half century after that in ODI cricket. So he's in crazy form, and it doesn't make logical sense
Absolutely.
that your most informed batter can't get into the team. So that does disappoint me, but then I really, really feel it. I mean, I know you're a big fan of Riza Hendricks. You've interviewed him, met him a couple of times. I mean, the way
I
he's
wish.
transformed his mentality and the
We
way he
sh-
plays is incredible.
yeah, we shared a couple appetizers together, that's for sure. But no, he's a great guy. He's a very hard worker, and look, in fairness to the entire Lions outfit, I could safely say the same about Temba Bavuma as well. By far an outstanding batter himself. But Riza has actually been chipping away at this for a very long time, for over 8 years now, and he's been asking the right questions. He's been of his personal development. He's really taken a different approach to his game. He's addressed the full requirement of T20 opener thus far. So there comes no question in my mind as to why he shouldn't be picked for this tournament, let alone for the opening match. He's been doing all the right moves. I have absolute faith in Riza Hendricks right now. I think this is the Riza Hendricks we've been sort of beckoning or waiting for in terms of an arrival for a very long time. I think we've been promised this Riza Hendricks for a long time, and now he's finally here, and we need to sort of let him do his thing and get us over the line.
Yeah, and South Africa's in an interesting position because, like I said, all our 7 batters that are available in the squad, I think it's seven batters. I think that is in our squad, or 8. Every single one of them are in form except Temba Bavuma. So, like, when you do leave someone out, even if you don't pick Temba, someone's going to miss out. And it's going to be unlucky, and it's going to be unfortunate. That's just the
Mhm.
way South Africa's situation is currently. But I don't think people, I think that's the reason why people are so upset, is because we've got 2 informed batters on the bench, and Timba is getting picked over them as a batter in the top order, and a lot of the times he's putting us in very precious situations by losing his wicket so early.
Mhm.
So it's not like they have no reason for doing so. It's not like there's no cricketing reason. This time around, there is a cricketing reason for it, and that's why I'm backing this, to say that I want us to be at our best at this World Cup. And also, if it's a color situation and people want to talk about the color situation, Riza Hendricks is a player of color, so it's not like he's replacing, being replaced by someone that is not a person of color. It also helps with the transformation targets for Riza to play too. So either way you look at it, I think South Africa are in a difficult spot, but I think they have the squad available. I'm feeling more confident in this World Cup than I felt the last World Cup, 100%.
Yeah, but less, being me being the elder statesman out of the two of us, I could say that I've heard that before in many iterations of the game, and I think it's going to be very difficult to say this is going to go the route of South Africa because, as we've seen in even the warm up games. And I know you've said that we need to take them with a pinch of salt, but we've seen teams like Sri Lanka come short, and they just won the Asia Cup, beating very formidable opposition in the rest of the subcontinent, right? So anything is possible in this form of the game. I don't think there's one clear out and out winner. I think the team, in my opinion, to watch out for is the likes of England and obviously Australia being the host nation. Once again, in this particular instance, I think they're always going to be a threat. But those two are certainly the standout teams as far as I could tell. I'll be
Yeah,
surprised if one of them doesn't make it to the final, and you can quote me on that.
yeah. Yeah, the one thing about this T20 tournament, this one and the last one, is I felt that anybody could win it. I think like when you looked at towards the end, Pakistan, India, Australia, New Zealand, all of those teams were looking really, really good. Bangladesh caused some upsets too. I mean, even West
Mhm.
Indies caused a couple of upsets too. So we're looking at we or made it difficult for some teams as well. So looking at this time around, even the teams coming through from the group stages are looking strong. So it's not going to be a very easy tournament. I mean, South Africa's group looks like it's shaping up to be like a subcontinent group almost, like, like all of the
Mhm.
subcontinent teams kind of playing together in one little group, and then South Africa's in there. So at least there's quite a few similarities from a bowling perspective between those teams, I
Exactly.
could say. That's a nice thing about it, that South
I
Africa
would
can.
say we got two of the best. Okay, maybe not the absolute best spinners, but we definitely got a fighting chance against subcontinental teams with that in mind.
Mm, yeah, so we're looking at it. It's obviously going to be dependable on what happens in tomorrow's games. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it looks it's we were the pitch as well in Hobart, for example, is looking like it's spinning quite a lot. So that we might not get in every single game these quick bouncy grassy wickets. I'm sure the ICC would have given Australia some sort of like guidelines. That I think they also got drop in pitches at in certain grounds. So I think the pitches as well is going to be very important, because I don't think they're going to have that advantage of preparing these grassy pitches tops that are going to get us. I don't think the ICC wants to see us teams get bowled out for 100. Like the game yesterday, if that was in the World Cup, an actual game in the World Cup, I don't think the ICC would be very happy with a game like that.
Yeah,
So I
well,
think that they'd
not
want
the
to
ICC.
create
The
some
the sponsors won't be happy with that.
sponsors, but not the ICC either. They want a tournament that is going to be exciting. They don't want a tournament that's going to be over in 2 hours. I mean, you want to play the full 4 hours that you have
that you
available.
have.
So I'm hoping that there's some sort of instructions being given so that we can have relatively balanced pitches. Yes, the natural Australia conditions obviously going to make a difference, but not as I don't think as much. If they make the pitch quite balanced, I don't think it's gonna the weather's going to affect it as much as it would in, for example, England and India
Mhm.
and the UAE, for example, where we played last season. So I'm hoping that they do create some sort of balanced pitches over here so that we can get good games and people have to actually go out there, bat and bowl to win matches, um, where it's not too much swayed in the luck category. Because when you create these pitches that are a little bit strange, then a lot has got to do with luck as well, more than
Totally.
skill. So I want to see a little bit more of a balanced tournament when it comes to the World Cup. Is there any other team that you have your eye on? I mean, I'm always nervous for Pakistan.
I was about to say the Pakistan are on their day can be the most difficult opposition ever. Babar Azam always in sublime form. You got some really talented players in the middle order as well, so that
Rizwan.
they could really. Rizwan is an absolute gem. I mean, the funny thing is, Safe. What's the it's the Safra's was like the golden child from Pakistan, right? In the white ball format, and you'd have to take a very sizable force to sort of uproot a guy like that. And Rizwan was absolutely incredible as an opener. To keep a guy like Safraz out of the team speaks volumes. I mean, people can question his form and what have you. Safraz is an awesome play, but here you got a guy like Rizwan that just came in and started dominating the situation, as an opener. So, yeah, those two are absolutely incredible. Babar as well. And yeah, we've got our friends on the order. I learned something interesting. I believe Shaheen Afridi is getting married to Shahid Afridi's daughter. Which is quite interesting, I found.
Really, I
So
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, very interesting. But anyway, so he's always quite a threat with the ball, as I've seen as of late. And yeah, those guys on their day can just be a very difficult opposition to take down.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are saying if Faf battle opened with QDK, but you guys are blaming the wrong people when it comes to Faf, because it seems to me like Boucher and Graham had a massive say in him not coming back. I don't think that decision was by CSA. I think that Boucher and Graham had a massive say on whether he could return or not. So we wouldn't have been talking about that opening problem if Faf was available, but we also wouldn't shouldn't be talking about it because we have an informed Lisa Hendricks. So um, yeah, ultimately that is the case at the moment. I don't agree with some of the comments being said, but I'm not going to get into that discussion because otherwise we're going to get into a whole long debate about that. I want to move on from this now. Let's move and on to the next part of this discussion, and I want to just talk about the first game of the T20 challenge because there's a lot of young talent that are going to be on display during this particular tournament. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see some excellent performances, and we have already seen some brilliance, especially from the top order batters in this particular match, particularly this match against between the Titans and the Dolphins, which is the first one. We saw Devat Brevis play today, which was excellent. I've obviously wanted to see him on our domestic circuit and watching play domestic cricket for South Africa. This is though T20 cricket where I feel that he's a lot more comfortable. I still want him to play first
Mhm.
class cricket. I do feel that in today's game, for example, if Devat had 15, 20, 30 first class games under his belt, I don't think he would have looked the way he did in his first couple of balls leading into the to that second half of his innings where he scored like a 15, like 25, 24 balls. So he started off extremely slowly and then he kicked on, which was excellent to watch him change. And it's good to see that he has the maturity and the mentality to, though, even though he got a lot of chances and he rode his luck. I mean, they dropped him quite a few times. Um, Even though that happened, he still remained calm and still played with the confidence that we know he can play. And that's very important. It's when there's adversity, how you shake yourself off. You don't get bogged down. And some of our batters, when things are going a little bit wrong for them, or that things are not going their way, or they might not
Mhm.
feel very comfortable, they seem to switch off and then things get worse and worse and they end up losing their wicket. Devalt
Mhm.
took that adversity and he turned it into a positive. And I think that was excellent from him today. Um, he scored 57 or 44 balls. He hit two fours and four sixes, some massive sixes, at a strike rate of 12954, which was a good performance from him. And it's good to see him obviously getting an opportunity to bat throughout an innings like that and bat majority of an innings for the Titans. We also have to obviously take our hats off to someone like Donovan Ferrero who came in and started smacking immediately,
You
and
see
also
what Halim did there. Yeah.
Dayan Khalim. The player of the season 2 seasons ago didn't even get a chance last season to prove himself, which is insane. How the player of the season the previous year doesn't even get a shout.
Mhm.
So it's good to see that he's hungry and that he's
Mhm.
looking to do things. From a Dolphins perspective and the bowling perspective, I was impressed with Samanani and how he pulled it back. His first over was quite expensive, but when I saw his second over, I was very impressed with the youngster, 19-year-old, to be able to make these logical, smart decisions and changing his lines because of what happened in the first game, in the first inning, in his first over was excellent. So I was very impressed with the way he bowled today. Um, just to bring that up quickly, that it will be over here. Yeah, and Othniel Bartman really impressed me. His lines and links, his consistency was excellent. So I think that was quite cool from that side. But when you look at the Dolphins, he's
Yeah, they
back,
got sick.
baby. He's back, baby. After a long injury, Grant Rulerson comes back and he does what he did. He's really going to be knocking on the door very soon, I feel. I mean, we've got a couple of young keepers, Ryan Rickleton, Grant Rulerson now as well. got Daniel Smith as well that's in the mix there at Western Province. We'll see how they perform tomorrow. But ultimately, we've got quite a few young, up and coming batting all rounders that can bat at the top of the order, which is something batting wicket keepers that can really bat at the top of the order, which is exciting me. But
Mm,
it's also going to give a lot of headaches to South Africa on decisions over there.
mm.
From the stuff that
Interestingly,
you,
they didn't open with JJ. Interestingly enough, I found that quite interesting.
yeah, yeah, I think that's it's largely because I don't know. I think they want to give Bryce Parsons some more opportunities to actually show
Yeah.
what he's capable of, and bat longer. But from your perspective, from the games that you watched, anything that you picked up or anything that you thought that was interesting?
Look, it's still early days, in my opinion, Khalid. So it's very difficult to really assess an opinion here or determine an opinion. What I can say is this is really good to see the youngsters stepping up and seeing massive improvements from the previous seasons. Dayan Khalim is certainly the standout for me in that score sheet, other than obviously Brevis.
He
But
bowled
I'm
quite well
looking
as
for.
well.
He bowled quite well as well. So I think he's been a guy that's been knocking on the door for some time. But because there were so many other guys sort of competing for the same spot in various formats, particularly in white ball format, it was quite tricky for him to get in through the door. But I think with time, I think we might see him. But that's why I'm saying that. I said this. I've alluded to this earlier. That this must not be misconstrued as a mere placeholder of a tournament. I think there's so much merit and value in watching the youngsters, especially considering that there's a lot of senior guys that may very well drop off the international circuit
Mm,
quite soon. As soon as this tournament is over, for all we know, and
yeah,
make the other micro franchise tournaments sort of the
mm,
priority.
yeah, and there were yeah, there was also missing from the Dolphin side, injured. I know that Lawrence just updated me now about that. So that's the reason why Parsons was brought into the game. But John Smuts is obviously an opener and also an
He's an
experience.
opener.
I understand.
Mm,
So I understand he can bat opening and he can bat 3-2. Actually,
mhm,
anywhere in the top four. So I do understand your point over there. With
mhm,
giving I would have given the more experienced guy the pressure situation and then ease Bryce Parsons more in. But that is what it is. Um, what I want to see though, which I'm not very happy with currently in South African cricket, is more intentional singles on grounds that are difficult. Like Poch is a ground that you can get quick twos and threes,
mhm,
and singles going. But what I mean by intentional singles is that exactly we score. We have a lot of singles where we're trying to smack the ball and then it goes to the field and we make a run because it didn't do what we wanted to do. But then we
mhm.
get at least we get runs. It's like
Are you talking about like
it's
a quick
almost like
single? Like,
consolation. I'm talking about, yeah, like I'm talking about getting if you're struggling at the crease, for example, like when Deva Brevis was bogged down in the middle a little bit, and he was struggling a little bit. The smartest thing for you to do as a cricketer is to maybe just rotate the strike and give it to your partner at the other end. Maybe he will be able to put pressure back on the opposition. You take that risk rather. But a lot of the times when I'm watching South African batters bat, the singles don't come out of choice. They come because
mhm,
they miscued a shot or something, or they misplaced the shot
mhm.
and it goes to the fielder and then they take a
Yeah,
single. Sometimes we see singles being taken after a massive double step smacked and went wrong,
yeah.
or you try to do a quick pull shot and it didn't go and didn't connect it, and then they take a single. I would like to see more
So you're
controlled
talking
singles,
about
planned singles.
so you're talking about something like David Warner, for example, middling one straight to log on, but he's going for it type of
Yeah,
thing. Like,
and he's going for it with the
mm,
intention of taking the run, because I want them to be
mhm.
able to have control over the runs that they are
Yeah,
making. Do you understand what I mean? So like at least
no,
you're gonna be
absolutely.
able to control it.
I like that approach. I've always enjoyed watching David Warner in those instances. Obviously, we talk about South African cricket now, and he's an Aussie. But I often found that by doing that psychologically, you unsettle the bowler as well. So the bowler has a premeditated sort of plan when they're coming at you. And the minute you do that, you double step them or you do something crazy like, you know, hitting a straight a square leg, but you're still taking the single. That does unsettle the bowler a bit because the runs are coming regardless of what it is that you're doing. So yeah, so I find it's quite valuable.
Hmm. Yeah, so there's that, and also I want to give you guys a quick update with regards to the Western Province women are going to be taking on the SWD at Newlands next week. So not this week, Saturday and Sunday, the following weekend. So 23rd, 22nd, 23rd. So the Saturday and the Sunday. It will be a 50 over game and it will be a T20 game. It will be at Newlands. We're going to be there, guys. So if you guys are in Cape Town, you find yourself around Newlands, please drop in, come meet us, come have a conversation. Let's talk some cricket. Let's meet up. I would like to meet all you guys in person. So come down to the stadium, bring your friends, bring your family, bring your snacks, bring your picnic blankets, whatever the case may be. Come fill out Newlands, not fill out. We can see if we can try, but I mean, I would like to get as many people to Newlands as possible to support the ladies. I mean, this women's Western Province women's team is one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country currently. They're playing some amazing cricket. They've got some amazing talent. So it's a very exciting team to go and watch, and it's good for us to show our support, even if it's just for 2 or 3 hours, guys, on Saturday, and maybe just watch the spend the 4 hours or at least the first innings on Sunday too. So come down. If you want more information, you can go to the Western Province Women's Instagram account. They will have announcements there too. So please go out there and support our ladies too. It's very important that we do so. We've got two major World Cups coming up. We've got under 19 Women's World Cup in South Africa and then the Women's World Cup in 2023 in South Africa. So we need to support our ladies too. They deserve it because they've been playing and sacrificing for so many years to to try and make a career path for them, to make a career path viable for them, because they've not been paid salaries. They're playing out of the love of the game. A lot of the time they have to fund their own travel, their own food, their own things to be able to play the sport. So, and still to run a job or study or work, etc. So please, guys, let's support them. At least let's show our support by being there, being present, and clapping on our next future generation of heroes.
Absolutely.
um but yeah, Ravi, final words from you before we say bye.
That's it all. I think this is going to be a very interesting couple of weeks. If you take into account South Africa's selection in the last 3 weeks alone. I mean, we just came back from India now, and now in Australia, of course. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's a good start. Again, we say take it with a pinch of salt, but it's always good to have a good confidence builder leading up to the official opening of the tournament. So very exciting times ahead for South African cricket. Uh, yeah, I just think it's going to come down to what they decide to do with the openers, especially in consideration of the first 6 overs of the power play in the T20 format.
Mhm. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. It was great to be back and talking to you guys again. We'll see you again tomorrow, of course, with another daily show. I'm going to also try to get some interviews on the show throughout this week, if I can, if it's possible. Let's see if it's possible, because a lot of people are very, very busy. Obviously, everybody's in Potch currently. From a cricketing point of view, majority of the players are all in Potch playing in the T20 Challenge. So it might be a opportunity for me to be able to pick up a couple of interviews tomorrow, if possible. So I'll try my best. Let's see what we can do. But we'll see you guys again tomorrow for another daily show. Take care, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to do everything that I've asked you to do. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, smash the like button, download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly, become a Patreon. All the links are in the bio. So please go ahead and look in the description. They all are there for you. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Peace. Ravi, shout out for coming on, and I'll see you soon too.
Absolutely. Take care.